has a small number of threats in the deck. It has a lot of disruption and, you know, like just a modest number of threats. And I do think that as long as Joe Lossett can use his removal effectively to keep a couple threats off the board, I think he's so favored in the late game that he should be able to pull these out.
Don't forget, of course, after this first game does end, we will bring it back to the booth because we've got plenty of trivia to give away this evening. We've got 3 months here in our quarterfinals. You've got 6 in the semis and the full 12 in the finals. So we'll be doing our premium giveaways as usual, 3 of them, and then we'll crown ourselves a champion, have an interview on the sideboard, and then head on out of here. But we've got a long way to go, and before we do begin things, as both players taking a look at deck lists and shuffling, I got to give a big shout out here. Frank Scarron.
What? I hear he's okay at limited. You know, I covered the Grand Prix, I believe, with you guys in Charlotte, the 3,600-man limited Grand Prix that he won. Well, limited is his format, and he took it down in convincing fashion this afternoon.
He has always said that limited is what he does best. He's a perfectly fine constructed player. He's still kind of learning how to play Legacy with Charlotte's Bug, which is a deck that he likes, but he's always said, limited is my forte. It's what I feel the most comfortable with. And if you think about his accomplishments in limited, again, winner of Grand Prix Charlotte, which at the time was the largest Grand Prix of all time. Then when we had our first team sealed open, Huey, Jensen, Owen Turtenwald, and Reed Duke won that tournament, but it was Frank Scarron and his team. They got second place. And then he wins this Grand Prix. And let's not forget, too, that last week he won a PTQ to qualify for the Pro Tour, and then he wins a GP the weekend after. So
our apologies to the guy he beat in the finals at the PTQ, by the way. You know, what a feeling.
I mean, I guess Frank didn't need it. I don't know, but I mean, a big, sincerely, mega shout out to Frank. He is really stepping his game up now and be able to win the limited Grand Prix this weekend, beating Reed Duke in the finals. Really impressive stuff for him. He's really on a tear when it comes to Theros Limited, which is one of the, looks like one of the more skill-intensive formats, and it's only going to pick up in skill now with Journey and Nyx coming out here. So got to give a shout out to Big Frank. Congrats on the win.
All right, so with that, our match is about to be underway. This is Joe Lossett, Blue, White, Red Miracles, facing Jeffrey Chen, playing Bug Delver. And on the play, looks like Lossett's going to be going down to 6 cards. Chen content keeping a full 7. One of the things that we've seen with Lossett in this matchup, when he's played against Delver, he aggressively searches out basics. He has all 3 types of basics in his deck, so he's able to protect his mana against a lot of the disruption that Bug Delver brings.
Yeah, this is an interesting matchup. I've never seen Joe actually play against Bug Delver before, so I'm really interested to see exactly what kind of tactics he's going to use in this particular matchup. Again, I think he's really well suited to beat, like Blue, White, Red Delver and Rug Delver. I'm not sure how he feels about his matchup when he's facing down discard as well here, but if anyone's played this matchup quite a bit, you have to imagine it is Joe, so I wouldn't be surprised to see him pretty comfortable here, even though he is taking a mulligan.
Yeah, one of the angles that Chen has in this matchup that a Rug Delver deck wouldn't have is that Chen has access to Abrupt Decay, and as a result is much less susceptible to a counterbalance Sensei's Divining Top lock than a traditional Delver deck would be.
And you have to like that if you're Chen. As you mentioned, the other Delver decks do get locked by the old counter top, as Lossett is going to start off here with a top. So our quarterfinals are underway here in Dallas.
Yeah, top's so good in this matchup.
That's a Delver of Secrets there for Chen. Lossett taking a look at a Force Will, counterbalance, Brainstorm, and another white card there. It might be Entreat the Angels or a Terminus. Doesn't look like he has a second land in his hand. No, I think he's considering countering this.
Yeah, it's Entreat the Angels. He has kept his hand based on the fact that it had Sensei's Divining Top and counterbalance in it. The only land he had was a Plains, however.
Yeah, just a boring old Plains. Nothing too crazy going on here.
And look at this. He top string his upkeep. He finds the land he needs for the turn. It's a Volcanic Island. And being sneaky here, the next card on top of his deck is a Terminus. So he's left that on top.
There's an Abrupt Decay. That's going to flip the Delver, and that also just, takes care of the counterbalance moving forward.
Yeah, Abrupt Decay, a great draw for Jeffrey Chen.
We'll see if Chen has a Wasteland effect here for the Volcanic Island. It would be a really big turn. But instead, just an attacker for 3. Going to play a Verdant Catacombs, and we'll see where Chen wants to move forward here.
Yeah, of note, Chen is not playing any Stifles in his Bug Delver list. Sometimes I know while Rug Delver is pretty consistently on Stifle, some Bug Delver decks play a few, some play none. Chen is on none of them.
Yeah, it does change a little bit. It depends on their range here and what they want to do. You see Bayou's going to be searched out from the Verdant Catacombs. Some do have it, some don't. Some like Tombstalker, some don't, stuff like that. You take a look at Chen's deck list. He doesn't have Tombstalker. He's got 2 copies of True Name Nemesis instead, so.
Yeah, and actually some of the cards he's branching out for I really like in the matchup. He has a Sylvan Library in the deck. He does have one of Liliana of the Veil in the deck as well. These are cards that will give him extra edges against Blue, White, Red Miracles.
You mentioned that Joe sneakily left a Terminus on top of his deck. A Tarmogoyf is actually what is resolving here. So there's a chance that we see him just turn that over here.
I would have to imagine he's going to do it. Granted, he can spin top on the end step here, so he may find something better. He may want to wait one more turn so that he can push it through, I guess, a Spell Pierce. But
I mean, the coast is clear right now. He tapped out for it, so I would imagine that he would want to do this, but we'll see. I mean, he does have a Brainstorm to cast, and it looks like he is going to cast this, so maybe trying to bait some counter magic potentially here.
So he knew the top 2 cards.
I think the reason he's casting Brainstorm is because he wants to find a land, so he can actually Terminus and then
still play a land.
And still play a land, yeah.
Yeah, I do think he found the land, and I even think it was a fetch land, which that's pretty excellent. Looks like he's going to go and put the entreat away for another. He put both the miracles back, I believe. So he's going to be able to Miracle a Terminus and shuffle away that entreat.
Bink. Will this resolve?
I have to imagine it is. Lossett also has a Force of Will to back it up.
He's going to play this copy of Arid Mesa. You see his hand right now. He does have the Venser, the Force, and the Counterbalance. See if he actually wants to cast Counterbalance this turn. He knows his opponent has Abrupt Decay, but that could actually just end up being Chen's entire turn, and so he might be okay with that exchange. He's just going to pass the turn back instead.
Yeah, and I guess he could, in theory, on 6 mana, play Counterbalance and hold up a Venser to bounce it, but that's an awfully long way off if he wants to make that play. The thing is that when you know your Counterbalance is going to trade with an Abrupt Decay, there's really no rush to play the Counterbalance. You know, from the control side, there's no rush to do anything until Chen makes you do something.
And, you know, you can look at that Counterbalance as a card that would die to Abrupt Decay anyway, so you might as well just use that as the blue card that you use for Force of Will, and then you're just left with the Venser. So this is a Ponder, and a very nice one at that.
Oh man, it's a Captain America Ponder.
Yes, it is. This is an advertisement for the Winter Soldier.
Yeah, Ponder's going to go ahead and resolve here. I like the patience with which Lossett is playing the Miracles deck, not tapping out for Counterbalance, really not doing anything. You know, he's content with the board right now. He has a Divining Top in play. His opponent has nothing in play. That's exactly where Miracles wants to be. Why change anything?
Again, Lossett is in no rush to really do anything. That's the key.
So we see a Ponder here. It's going to keep cards on top for Chen.
Well, he'll add that card to his hand, whatever it may be. Hasn't played a land yet this turn, just started off with a Ponder. There's an Underground Sea. This is a Hymn to Torak.
So if he wants to, Lossett can force this. He also can spin top here.
He can spin top and just not care about what he discards.
Yeah, he wants at least whether he needs to decide whether he wants 2 cards at random or whether he wants to pick the 2 and lose a life. I imagine he's going to force, but he wants full information before doing that. You see his top cards are an Entreat the Angels, a Force of Will, and then he has a third one he's looking at right now. I believe that third one is what he's shuffled to the top.
Yeah. Decisions here for Lossett.
Yeah, no matter which way he plays it, Lossett's going to lose 2 cards here.
Just whose terms is it going to be on, his or Jeffrey's? So he's happy with the organization of his deck now. And he says, all right, that's fine, that resolves. So he gets to keep 1.
Yeah, we randomly are picking the 2 that get that to be discarded. Or the 2 that are, the one that's kept as being, so he loses the Counterbalance and the Venser. So he gets to keep the Force of Will. And I have to think that that's what he wanted to have happen. You know, if he wanted to keep one of the other 2 cards, he could have done that by forcing. So to me, that reads that Joe got to keep the card he wanted.
This is interesting too, because I believe what the top card of his deck probably is the Entreat the Angels, and what he can do is he can actually draw a card and then entreat for 2 creatures.
He can draw it, and then there is a window between drawing the card and miracling the card where you can fetch.
Well, maybe that's not going to be the plan here. So he's just going to spin top now in response to a Brainstorm.
I mean, I have to think if you're Lossett, if there's another land hiding, you just make the entreat maybe even 1 bigger. So what he wants to do is he wants to miracle the entreat and then have a blue card under it, so that if the entreat's countered, he can tap top to draw, play Force of Will, pitching a blue card to protect his Entreat the Angels.
Yep. Now the one thing about the entreat right now is that it's not the best because there's an Abrupt Decay in Chen's hand. Now there is a chance that he actually does, send away the Abrupt Decay because there's any targets. And then he can just ride the 2/4 Force to victory. There's definitely the possibility of that. And again, it's all about how Joe kind of wants to set this up. But even though we're kind of saying here that Joe's kind of in the driver's seat on what he wants to do, That's not necessarily true. He's got a player here resolving Brainstorm in Chen, and does have probably threats to deploy and a little bit of disruption here. So, yeah, there's a him.
Yeah, and another him to draw. Just one card in Lossette's hand. I imagine he'll just let it go away.
Yeah, Chen just trying to clear the path for some stuff here.
Remember, Chen has put cards back. He has that fetch land, which I imagine he'll crack before he draws again if you're Lossett. I would say it's a good bet that the Abrupt Decay is no longer in Chen's hand.
Yeah, this is really interesting because Lossett's considering actually drawing a card with the top, and I think the top card of his deck is a Spell Pierce. He could Spell Pierce the him, but he's deciding instead, okay, that's fine. You got my Force of Will. And truth be told here, Matthias, I believe this is a lot of posturing here by Joe to make it seem like, oh gosh, I really want that Force of Will, but okay, I'll let it go. Like, I think that there is a lot more going on in this game besides, oh, a him resolved, you can get my Force of Will.
It's still a Miracles board, right? It's both players have nothing but lands in play, and the Miracles player has a top. That this is, despite the fact that Lossett has no cards in his hand, this is still the board state that the Miracles deck wants.
So, sacrifice the polluted delta, get a tropical island.
So he's put away 2 cards. There are 3 in Chen's hand. They are now unknown. It's possible there was an Abrupt Decay there at one point that Lossett knows about.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's still there, truthfully.
You would or would not?
I would be surprised if it's still there. Here's a Brainstorm. Looks like we're going to see a Spell Pierce there.
Yeah, and that's pretty good value off of Spell Pierce.
Yeah.
Especially as we get later in the game, it becomes less and less likely that Spell Pierce will realize any value.
There's a Delver.
All right, so Chen does have something on the board.
Second to spin. This is in response to the Delver. I think Chen is saying, okay, that's fine. So it looks like we'll see how Joe wants to actually set this now, because again, he's been floating that Entreat the Angels around the top for some time now, and it looks like the top card of his deck is a Jace the Mind Sculptor now.
Yeah, and I think he'll want to draw that and just hang on to Jace for a little bit here. Remember, as soon as he decides to cast Jace, he's going to have to shuffle up his deck.
And he just passes the turn back here. See the top card, that's a Daze. All right.
Daze is pretty strong right now.
Daze is pretty good. We might see Lossett make a move now with the Entreat, though.
Yeah, if he wants to Entreat now, he's going to lose his Divining Top, however. And that's a pretty big resource in this matchup.
And so he has really slowed Chen down, saying, okay, just a moment, please. I don't think I want you drawing Daze right now, because Daze actually takes care of the Jace or the Entreat for 2. That looks like Joe's been setting up now. And I think Joe is going to try to set this up here. He's going to say, all right, draw a card with top.
Yeah, now, so this is where he's making his move. Once he gets rid of Divining Top, he no longer has that late game going on here.
Wow, that's really good news, I think. So he's looking to draw his card, right? He says
that Abrupt Decay is not good at all right now.
Yeah, that's great news for Joe.
He just got rid of, like, that is not killing anything.
Yep.
Because the Abrupt Decay was going to get shuffled away. The top was going to get shuffled away anyway.
Yep.
So
that's fantastic news for Lossett. He's going to lose his top anyway, so now there's one less Abrupt Decay to take care of one of these Angels.
One of these Angels, a counterbalance later. There's a lot of things that Abrupt Decay could have hit.
He's going to sacrifice the Scalding Tarn as well. We'll see what other land he wants to search out here. It could be a basic, might be a non-basic. You see him kind of looking at the Tundra here. He can just load up on non-basics now because it looks like he's got a Wasteland overloaded.
Yeah, it's like he can't be Wasteland proof, so might as well just get all the Wasteland targets.
So now Entreat's going to come off the top here.
Only 1 card in Chen's hand.
Now, the big question is how many do you do it for? Because it's pretty easy to say, oh, just do it for 2.
2.
I still think you do it for 2.
Super 2.
Yeah.
if that last card's Daze, then he's gotcha.
Yeah. If it's Daze, well done. But I know you're drawing a Daze, so what are the likelihood that the other card in your hand is Daze? Now, to be fair, he does play 4 copies of Daze. Unless that's going to go get some 4/4 Angels here.
Yeah. So 2 Angels in play. That's going to keep the Delver at home.
Yeah. And Lossett says, you know what? You can draw a Daze. That's fine.
All right, so there's not that much removal in Chen's deck. 4/4 that takes care of 4/4 Angels. He has 2 more Abrupt Decays. With a Disfigure that's in the main, he could trade the Insectile Aberration with an Angel token. Similarly, he has a Liliana of the Veil that could help take one down. Other than that, those are the only ways he can kill.
There's a Thoughtseize to take care of Jace. Now, what's important about that, too, Matthias, is that Thoughtseize, yes, it does take care of Jace, which is important. However, he goes from 18 to 16. 2-turn clock now.
Right.
Where it wasn't before. So Lossett's going to come across here for 8 points of damage in the air. Chen is going to go down to 8. See if Lossett drew anything that matters. He's just going to pass the turn back for right now.
And how big is it here that Abrupt Decay hit on Divining Top as opposed to an Angel token? These Angels are really putting a clock on Jeffrey Chen.
There's a Wasteland going to take down the Volcanic Island. Again, Chen is just left with a Daze in his hand. Lossett's going to untap those two Angels. He's done a beautiful job of crafting this game, as now Delver has to block because he was floating that Entreat. First of all, the Entreat was in his opening hand. Let's remember, in his opening hand, he had Entreat. So he had to work a way to get that on top of his deck, make it so that there's a perfect time to cast the card. He found it, and he's able to win the game. So Joe Lossett does win game number 1 here over Jeffrey Chen. Blue, white, red Miracles does win game number 1 over Bug Delver. As we're going to bring it back to the booth here, my friends.
Yeah.
Because it is trivia time. Matthias is going to ask you're going to explain the rules.
Yes.
I am
right.
going to ask the question.
Okay, all right. So we did this morning. We are doing it again this evening.
Yes,
this is in our top 8s of both opens that we do. Cedric is going to ask you a question here, and it is up to you, all of you watching and following us on Twitter, to correctly answer the question. If you do, you may get rewarded with 3 months of Star City Games Premium. Not you will, that would be everybody. But how you enter is if you can correctly tweet the answer to the question with the hashtag SCG Premium on your tweet, and then at the end of the round, the end of all the top 8 matches, we will randomly select one of the correct responses, and that person will get 3 months of Star City Games Premium. Now remember, you have to be following us at SCG Live to be eligible to win, so make sure you are doing that, as well as having hashtag SCG Premium.
All right, my question for you guys pertaining to Joe Lossett's deck list. His deck is a little bit different. I mean, not different for him. He's been playing this style of deck for a while now. But within his deck, he's got 5 creatures. 3 of them from Vendilion Click. 1 of them is a Snapcaster Mage, and the other one is a legendary blue creature. And if you can name that other legendary blue creature that is not Vendilion Click, hashtag the answer, hashtag SCG Premium. Again, make sure you are following at SCG Live, and the winner will be announced at the conclusion of our quarterfinal round, as we are going to head back over to the match because we've got some sideboards to take a look at. That means we've got a lot of 1-ofs and 2-ofs to take a look at, as you guys do see on the screen there. Those players are really mixing it up, which is what Brainstorm and Fetchlands allows you to do. We'll start with Jeffrey Chen. He's got a Grafdigger's Cage.
Yeah.
He does have 2 copies of Golgari Charm, an Abrupt Decay, a Dismember and Envelop, a Flusterstorm, a Force of Will, a Crow's Grip, 2 Spell Pierce, a Surgical. This is run of the mill.
Hey, there's 2 empty spots. It's only a 13 card set.
This is run of the mill for Legacy. And Umazawa Jite, Vendilion Click, and a Liliana the Veil. Matthias, what do you like for all those singletons?
All right, well, I think there's a lot more positioning in Counter Wars in this matchup, so cards like Spell Pierce become pretty good in this matchup for Jeffrey Chen. He has 2 in the board. I imagine he'll bring them in. 1 card in this matchup is specifically designed for the deck. He has a Croson Grip in the board. That's going to be very good at taking down an opposing counterbalance. He does have a Abrupt Decay to deal with it, but it can never hurt to have an extra way to kill a counterbalance, not to mention a way to take care of a Sensei's Divining Top.
Yeah.
Other things I imagine he'll bring in, the last Abrupt Decay is not terrible in the matchup. He has other counter spells, Force of Will, Flusterstorm. I don't know if I like Force of Will in the matchup, because 2 for 1 yourself is something you wouldn't want to do. Lastly, he has a copy of Vendilion Click in the sideboard that I do think he'll be using.
Other side of things, we're going to see some more 1s and 2s. Lossett has a Pithing Needle, a Relic, a Sulfur Elemental, 2 Rest in Peace, 2 Flusterstorm, 2 Wear and Tear, 2 Supreme Verdict, a Venser Shaper Savant, a Pyroblast, a Red Elemental Blast, and a Spell Snare. What do we like there?
Well, I just think this game becomes more about a counter war, and just as Jeffrey Chen can board in cards like Spell Pierce and Vendilion Click, Lossett gets his own extra counter spells. He can up the number of red blasts he has in his deck. He also can use Relic of Progenitus to help keep cards like Deathrite Shaman or Tarmogoyf in check. Certainly a 1-mana card that replaces itself is not too much of an investment.
Quick update for you guys, another match. Eddie Solis with Blue at Red Delver does win game number 1 over Jamie Routledge playing Death and Taxes. So the winner of that match is going to play the winner of Andrew Lively playing Burn and Austin Palmer playing Blue at Red Delver. So there's the chance for a Blue-White-Red Delver mirror on the bottom bracket. But here, Joe Lossett, you do see, is up a game playing Blue, White, Red Miracles over Jeffrey Chen in his Bug deck. The winner of this match will go against Colin Chilbert or Philip Marshall, High Tide versus Junin. As we do get updates in our other matches, we will, of course, let you guys know there at home. I know a lot of people, including the man to my right, rooting for Colin Chilbert and the old Island combo deck.
Go throw something out. They're still in game 1.
Wow, that's...
You know what that means.
That's probably means that Colin is doing his thing right now.
It means that there's a turn going on, at least. I don't know if he's getting there, but it's happening.
He's certainly trying. I generally enjoy the fact that High Tide is this deck that has this really long turn when it goes off and that it can fizzle. I think that's my favorite part of the deck. It's like, yep, I'm taking a 15-minute turn. You win. I just couldn't do it. It was too hard. Things did not break my way. I think that's just easily my favorite part of the deck.
You know, and I don't, yeah, it's not a 100% deck. It reminds me a lot of times, if you ever played an extended, the Mind's Desire Storm decks,
Like the blue-white Snap Desire deck.
or just like really anything that Mind's Desire, those decks, you know, you would never actually 100% be sure to combo. You could do something like Storm into a Mind's Desire for 8 and then miss. You know, obviously, if you also could Mind's Desire for 2 and like Mind's Desire into Mind's Desire into another Mind's Desire and just win.
Yeah.
So like, there was really high variance. You basically just had a different percentage chance of winning every time you started with Mind's Desire.
I also just kind of remember how, like, you know, if you went up for a Mind's Desire for like 7 or 8 and like you didn't kill your opponent, the opponent was like in shock. You were in shock. It's like, I don't know how this is possible. Like, I can't believe my Mind's Desire missed. Like, there was a lot of times when I was playing PTQs back then, and it's like, yeah, I desired for 10 and I lost, and that's not a thing that's happened to me ever. So.
Yes, my response was, well, you just need to play the deck more. Then it'll happen to you more.
I guess that's true. Shuffle better. Is that how that works? Looks like players are getting something figured out. I think on who's on the player, who's on the draw, and it is Jeffery Chen who's on the play here.
Probably should have pile shuffled.
Yeah, I guess.
Right.
Not entirely sure that's true. So Chen, along with Lossett, taking a look at their opening hands here, trying to figure out what to do. And we're being told right now that Philip Marshall has lost 2 games to 0, actually conceding to Colin Chilbert. It looks like he may have to get out of here. So we'll see. So either way, Chilbert will play the winner of this match. See, High Tide didn't take that long.
No, that was a very quick match for High Tide.
So, Mr. Chilbert, moving on. Going to play the winner of this match between Lossett and Chen. A little surprised by that, but hey, if you got to go, you got to go. It's not the first time we've seen this happen before.
Yeah, certainly a lot of players, you know, have commitments to get back to on Monday morning. Can drive a pretty good distance, especially in a state like Texas, to attend an open here.
Yeah, Texas, big state.
Yeah,
Big state. Thoughtseize. Going to lay out the grip here. You got a Flooded Strand. There's a Top. There's a Swords, a Jace, a Brainstorm, a couple other cards out there. Chen's going to record that information and then make his best decision, given on what is in his hand. Thoughtseize is going to pave the way for this game. It's easy to say take Sensei's Divine Top because it's, you know, kind of the card that holds the deck together.
I was going to say, this is your one chance to get rid of that top. Joe's going to start by playing it. And yeah, not without a doubt, that's the card that Chen takes. We see Relic Swords, Brainstorm, Jace.
A couple other cards over there,
And then
too.
one more white card.
Did Joe just actually just peel Top?
That'd be ridiculous.
So. Yeah, I don't think so.
I think he peeled a blue spell,
Yeah.
so he still just actually has the 1 lander right now.
Yeah, that's the thing with this deck that Lossett, I know, does a lot, is he keeps 1 land top hands. And, I mean, that's understandable, because Top will work you out of your mana problems
Top
quite a
is
bit.
just that good in the deck.
Yeah. It'll work you out of things quite a bit here, as Lossett's going to sacrifice Flooded Strand. See if he's going to go searching for an island or a plains. It will be an island. I think searching for a Tundra there is a little bit ambitious when you are playing against the old Wasteland deck and you're on a 1-lander.
Absolutely. So goes and gets a basic plains or basic island.
Your favorite land, right?
I don't know why you play any other lands in your deck.
Yep, there you go. But would you play a white bordered one like that?
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay. I guess it still taps for blue.
Yeah, I'd go ahead and even go with, you know, different art, white border lands. If you're gonna do it, just keep going.
Oh, just mix them all up?
Well, if you're gonna go with the theme of these were the original lands I played, well, my original decks had lands of all different arts in them too. So I would just, you know, I'd make it the theme.
See, Relic is going to remove the Thoughtseize there. Volcanic Island is the draw here for the set, so he has found a second land. Chen with just a 1-lander,
Yeah.
just playing a Delver and passing.
And Chen, I was gonna say, Chen has not found the second land, and there's a Swords to Plowshares waiting there for the Delver of Secrets. Lossett has not found his white mana yet, but
The set figuring out if he wants to tap a basic or a non-basic in this situation. If he taps the basic, the non-basic can be going to be destroyed by Wasteland. It could be destroyed by Wasteland anyway, but he's going to go with the basic land and cast a Brainstorm. You saw Chen move some cards around. Maybe he has a force here.
he goes ahead and brainstorms first. He plays the land before brainstorming so as to play around days, and this is a very aggressive force of will from Chen, taking out the brainstorm.
Yeah, you have to believe if he kept the 1-lander, chances are high that he does have a force of will in his deck. Excuse me, in his hand. And this is we're going to see a Relic remove that card.
Yeah, it takes care of the Verdant Catacombs. You want to always Relic to give them fewer choices, and that actually gives it the chance to hit a land in the graveyard that could potentially down the road take care of a Deathrite Shaman.
So Force is going to resolve in the Brainstorm. Now here is a Brainstorm, and this is going to be from Chen to make sure that his Delver does flip appropriately here.
Well, it's interesting. So if he has the option between flipping the Delver and drawing a land, he's going to have a real decision here.
That's true. That's true. Flipping a Delver strategy, again, not a plan that works great against Miracles because they have so much spot removal for a Delver. You think of Swords, you think of Red Blast, you think of Pyro Blast, and then, of course, Terminus can get the job done as well. So a tempo game with Delver Secrets is not something that's really going to happen to Miracles a lot. It is something that actually happened a little bit earlier when we had Lossett on camera, but that is not the norm. He's going to flip over a Force of Will.
Well, who needs more lands if all your counter spells are free? Force of Will go to Chen's hand, so you'll still be on one land this turn and a tapped land at that.
And for 3 we go. Lossett goes down to 16. I wonder if Joe has any interest in cashing in that relic, especially now that he's being targeted by Wasteland.
Wow, so Chen had the Wasteland.
May have found it off the
He
Brainstorm.
found it off the
Yeah.
Okay, probably found it off the Brainstorm.
Either way,
Right.
Lossett's in some real trouble now. He's going to float some mana. I think, yeah, he's going to crack this relic. It's got to go. He's got to find a land now, preferably a basic in this situation. I think basic Plains is probably his best friend right now. He picked up a Supreme Verdict. That's a Caracas. That's at least white
really
mana.
close to basic Plains, but
Looks
not
like he-
exactly the same.
He's going to cast the Swords right now. Wow, that's going to get the job done. So even though Chen did have a Force of Will that was revealed to the Delver, looks like he doesn't have another blue card
Yeah,
with it,
I'm
or
gonna say-
he has no interest.
I have to think it's no blue card. If he's, that Delver was doing a lot of work for him.
So what do we have here?
Yeah, we'll see if Chen actually has any other lands. He just has a replacement Delver, still on one land.
The second to draw a card. Another copy of Supreme Verdict, it looks like. He just has to pass the turn back. Again, remember, this is a control deck, a legacy control deck here in Miracles, but it only has 23 lands. So it's a kind of a different take on control here. They're not a very land-heavy deck like you would see in Standard with Esper or Blue-White Control, things of that nature. Lossett actually considering casting a Snapcaster Mage here to trade with the Delver, and there is a Snappy.
Yeah, well, the thing about lands, especially land counts that you need, the number of lands you need to cast cards of different mana costs is it's an exponential progression as your curve gets higher. A curve that tops out at 3 only needs 22 lands. And in Legacy, pretty much every deck tops out at about 3 mana.
Yeah. Deathrite Shaman does come down here for Chen. Lossett did draw a card. It was Red Elemental Blast. Just have to pass the turn back. So Chen kicks it back. There's an Entreat the Angels that Joe can't cast. Now Chen is going to activate Deathrite Shaman. Going to remove the Swords of Plowshares. Lossett's going to go down to 14. Chen is going to untap, take a draw, see if he can find some action now, because he's got the mana to actually get some work done.
Yeah, Joe Lossett just with a grip full of uncastable cards. He is taking damage, but not too much damage yet. This
Another Wasteland is huge.
Wasteland's huge for 2 reasons. Not only does it put Joe Lossett down to 1 land, but it gives 2 lands worth of fuel to Deathrite Shaman.
There's a top. Is this going to resolve? If you're Chen, you have a counter spell. I think you got to fire it off.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's a Force of Will. There's a blue card that's been dealing click. I mean, it's not the prettiest thing in the world, but top is so good in Lossett's deck and can work him out of this situation that I actually like countering that spell quite a bit, as Chen is going to now draw another card here. Again, we just need to see if he has anything to actually put into play now that lands are in the graveyard.
Yeah, the one thing that it did do, I was going to say, is it took away a creature that's really good at attacking and when dealing click, but Chen able to cast Tarmogoyf this turn.
A Tundra for Lossett, just has to pass the turn back. We'll get our Tarmogoyf die out there, see how big that thing is, how much it will be attacking for. You see both
Wow.
players going to check the graveyards here.
Creature, artifact, land, instant. So it's a 4/5 right now.
That in combination with Deathrite Shaman can close out this game very quickly.
All right. Chen has to be a little careful. There's only 1 land in a graveyard right now, so if he removes a land to Deathrite Shaman, his Tarmogoyf is going to shrink.
Attacking first is a good place to start, so that's going to go down to 9. Now, of course, the funny thing about Miracles is that he can draw a Terminus in any time and get back in this thing. That's the scary thing.
Yeah, well, especially he's 1 mana away from Supreme Verdict. Now, granted, he doesn't have too many turns right now, but if he can make his way to Supreme Verdict, that, it's not counterable.
Now, you're going to remove an instant, does Chen. And Tarmogoyf actually going to slow down a little bit now. He's going to go to 7. Now Tarmogoyf becomes a 3/4. Lossett looking at his hand. Is there anything I can do? Nope, I just have to pass the turn back. Chen going to draw a card.
And I wonder if Chen has a way to get another instant in the graveyard before attacking here.
How about a sorcery?
Well, that's another thing that's not there right now, so that'll do. Especially if Lossett red blasts it. Yeah, he Actually, I just don't think he can red blast.
Yeah,
He
I don't
dies
think-
if he does.
Yeah, if you red blast that gives you an instant and a sorcery in the graveyard. Time over becomes a 5. Not to mention he has to sacrifice the fetch land to actually get his red mana. So 7 to 6 for the fetch land. Then Tarmogoyf becomes a 5.
Can't do it.
Yeah, you go down to 1. Actually, Death Threat. He has lethal on the board if you counter it. So
The problem here is that between Deathrite Shaman and this 4/5 Tarmogoyf, it's going to put Lossett down to 1. Lossett is going to be unable to crack that fetch land, so he's just caught between a rock and a hard place here. And I don't see him making it to his next turn.
yeah, he needs to get to his next turn that he can so that he can draw land for Supreme Verdict. But I'm with you. I don't think he's going to make it there. And as badly as he does want to red blast this, and I would want to too, he can't.
If he makes it alive to his next turn, he's not going to have the life points to crack the Scalding Tarn.
Yeah, and you see him right now. He's kind of coming to that realization that, boy, I would love to red blast this Ponder, and I can't do it.
Yeah, this is a difficult situation.
Yeah, I'd say so. So, Lossett looking over his hand, considering his options, he might just realize that he just might be dead here and that he can't get out of the situation. So he says, yep, your Ponder's good. Again, I would love to counter with my red blast, and I can't do that.
So at this point, he'll get just a little more information, maybe find out a little bit about Chen's sideboarding strategy.
I think the thought here from Joe is that there is a chance that Chen can make a mistake because there's no guarantee that he leaves Deathrite Shaman available to be able to remove another instant or sorcery from the graveyard. So we could very easily see, Chen actually, activate Shaman for mana to maybe deploy another Tarmogoyf or something like that. And I think that's probably Joe's only out in this situation.
Yeah, if he deploys another Tarmogoyf here, then Joe could fetch, and he could Terminus, or Supreme Verdict, sweep the board,
Also, he
stay
could,
alive.
he could just spike Terminus right now. It's a very real thing that can happen.
Yeah, that's what he's going to have to do.
Yeah, that's not a Terminus.
No, that was
Caracas.
another Caracas, which is okay. The first one was in the graveyard. They are legendary, but that Deathrite Shaman there is preventing Scalding Tarn from finding the mana that Lossett needs to cast Supreme Verdict.
See, I was actually interested to see if Joe was going to sacrifice the land. And I was interested to see if he would play Caracas, sack the land, and then try to cast a Verdict and see what happens. On the off chance that maybe Chen just forgets the Deathrite Shaman activation, but
Boy,
he's
I
just going
don't
to
think
save
he'd
some
forget
time.
it. I actually don't, even though they have access to each other's deck lists, if I'm Lossett, I don't want to cast Supreme Verdict because I don't want Chen thinking about Supreme Verdict, you know? Even if you played a irrelevant Supreme Verdict, then Chen will have that in his mind for next game.
Any other updates? Yeah, I agree with you on that one. You don't want to give away that kind of information where it just gives the opponent something more to think about. Even though they do have deck lists, it's different when they're looking at the deck list and actually playing the games.
Exactly. Chen probably knows that he's going to board it in and that it's in his deck. But sometimes if it's a matchup you haven't tested a lot with a certain sideboard, then, you're playing it on the fly and you can forget that a card is actually in a deck.
Well, we're going to go to game 3 here. We'll see if players do adjust things. You see Jeffery Chen going through his sideboard. Lossett shuffled up there. Doesn't look like he's going to go back to the drawing board. Probably happy with this configuration, but a quick update on what's going on again. Colin Shilbert, our number 1 seed with High Tide, he was conceded to by Philip Marshall, so he'll be winning his match and playing the winner of this one. It looks like Marshall had to take care of other things and get out of here. We got Andrew Lively and Alston Palmer. Looks like they're going to game number 3 here, Burn versus Blue-Eye Red Delver. And then Eddie Solis up a game over Jamie Routledge.
Yeah, so that is once again the Burn versus Blue-White Red Delver matchup.
Channeling your inner Patrick Sullivan. Burn this house down in Fort Worth, Texas.
Yep, only mountains. Actually, a couple standard all-stars in the deck. He does have both Young Pyromancer and not Fire Drinker, Satyr Fire Dancer in his main deck. Yeah, he has a 1-of Satyr Fire Dancer.
All right. That's kind of sweet.
Yeah, I like it.
I think soon you can cut those cards and put in Eidolon of the Great Revels. The new walking pyrostatic pillar. Chances are that's going to go in.
Yeah.
I think that's going to go in.
Yeah, probably.
I'm not positive. I mean, I would have to consult the master.
It's basically just a Spell Shock in Legacy. There aren't many cards that don't trigger that Eidolon.
Yeah, again, I'd have to consult Patrick, the red box master, and see if that's something you'd want to do.
2 for 2 is unexciting. It's going to have to earn its keep, but its ability is powerful. It certainly gives the red deck a lot more game than it's had against a deck like, say, Ad Nauseam Tendrils.
Yeah. This is the new one, the Eidolon of the Great Revel. A lot of people talking about this card. It is pretty scary. I mean, we've seen Pyrostatic Pillar in the past, and it's a pretty good sideboard card, but we haven't seen it when we can attack and provide double red devotion in Standard. I'm really, really excited about this card. Don't have any idea how good it's going to be, but it seems like it's going to be a good one.
Yeah, I mean, I think it has applications in both formats. In Legacy, a burn deck could play it. In Standard, its ability is less exciting, but the fact that it costs red, that's pretty exciting in Standard.
Yeah. It's just got some relevant text on there. It's definitely a card that's pushed for competitive play. And again, we have seen that effect before in Pyrostatic Pillar, but we've never seen it attack. But at the same time, if you think about hate bears that had enchantment effects on them, you know, that have been made into hate bears that can attack, for the most part, they're pretty good.
Yeah, in general, the hate, yeah, cards like Magus of the Moon, for example, those see play.
Canonist, stuff like that. Those guys have been seeing some play, so.
Thalia.
Card's really good.
That card's really good.
Looks like both players are happy. Game 3, let's start it up. A basic plains and a Sensei's Divining Top. Will we have a fight over this? This is the big problem here for Chen, and it's going to resolve.
Yep, on the play, we saw Chen was able to take care of that last match. He had a Thoughtseize for it, but on the draw, no such luck. As he'll have to weather the eventuality that Divining Top brings Lossett.
Lossett, no interest in spinning immediately.
No, it looks like he has a second top.
Yeah, he picked up one for the draw step here. He has a Swords of Plowshares in his hand as well, and it looks like he's going to fire this off right now before Spell Pierce and other things are available, while still being able to play around a Daze. So just basically says, you are not going to hit me with a Delver.
Just wants to keep the board clear. Just have it be a bunch of lands and one Divining Top.
Yep.
Maybe even two Divining Tops. Who knows?
Chen draws his card for the turn after his Delver was taken care of. That's a copy of Bayou. This is a copy of Himnotorak. Looks like Lossett has a Spell Snare in his hand. He probably wants to give it a shot, so he's going to sacrifice the Flooded Strand. We'll see if it's going to be an Island, a Volcanic, or a Tundra that he searches for, but he will go with the basic to make sure that he's okay around Wasteland. So I do get a quick update for you guys. Eddie Solis with Blue at Red Delver does win over Jamie Routledge playing Death and Taxes, so he will move on. Does our 7 seed, as Lossett will present his deck over, and we'll see if it's going to be a Spell Snare, and if the Spell Snare will resolve.
All right, so Spell Snare on him to Turok.
It's good.
Does work. And right now, Lossett in control. So he turn 1 Divining Top, then a 1-for-1, then another 1-for-1. This is the kind of game that Lossett wants to play. He's just keeping the board clean and slowly outdrawing his opponent thanks to Sensei's Divining Top.
Spinning Top on his upkeep. He's got a Terminus hiding there. He's going to play another copy of Sensei's Divining Top, or at least try to. Looks like that's going to be good to go.
Yeah, 4th land in hand. It's a Mystic Gate. So that's a 1-of that he plays in the deck. I presume to help him cast and treat the angels when he needs to.
Well, some people don't like losing to Choke. That was part of the reason he actually kind of started playing that card.
So
This because back in the day in Maverick, Choke was a thing.
Hey,
he also used to play
Mystic Gate. That's 2 blue mana. You can cast everything.
He also used to play a Glacial Fortress too.
Wait, 1 of each?
Well, at times.
So Glacial Fortress over Seachrome Coast. I suppose so. Yeah.
Comes into play untapped.
How about Temple of Enlightenment?
Well, that wasn't a card then.
Okay.
But also that card comes into play tapped. I don't know if I would like that.
In Legacy, that's a big deal.
Yes. He's tried out quite a few lands for his deck. I know that. Quite a few.
I like Seachrome Coast.
I do miss the days of Baneslayer Angel in his sideboard.
That is also a card.
He really dusted up Peace Sully with that one quite a bit. Here's a Thoughtseize. Joe's hand is actually not that great, so I think, yeah, he's fine.
Yeah. Treat the Angels is taken.
Yeah.
I mean, from what I've seen of Blue, White, Red Miracles, it doesn't actually care about its hand all that much.
That's part of the reason I like it.
Yeah, it just wants to keep the board clean. And so while Chen can play all this disruption, all this discard, the board is cleaned, no creatures on it, no threats on it. Lossett has Divining Tops. It's still where he wants to be. And you see the first top activation. There's a Terminus in the top 3. He's not putting that one on top. He's just going to float it on the top of his deck for a while in case of emergencies.
No, just going to pass the turn back now after playing Mystic Gate. So Chen does not know the cards here in Lossett's hand, nor does he know the cards on top of the deck. Again, we know there are some miracles floating around there. Chen going to sacrifice a Verdant Catacomb, search out a land. So we'll see what land he wants to search up. And now, if you're Chen, again, the trick here is you got to get some pressure on the table now. You're just letting Joe do his thing.
It's absolutely what's going on. He's just letting... Yeah. Right now, Joe's just slowly improving draws, going to slowly outdraw Chen.
Again, 2 matches left to go here in our quarterfinals. We've got this one in front of you guys, and then Andrew Lively goes by Joey, and then Austin Palmer, Burn versus Blue White Red, finishing up there. Winner of that match is going to play against Eddie Solis playing Blue White Red Delvers. Here's a Wasteland targeting Mystic Gate. Lossett says, I like to float some mana if you don't mind. And spin my top.
All right, so once again, we see that Terminus in the top 3, not the top 1.
Yeah, there's a Delver.
All right, so now board presence for Chen, not a huge one yet.
This is a Snapcaster Mage. See if this resolves.
He's going to go ahead and looks like snap swords at that Delver of Secrets.
Yeah. If it resolves. This is Surgical, maybe? Ooh. Interesting. This is interesting for a couple of reasons. One, he loses swords, but 2, my thing is it's going to blow up his, the way he set his top.
I think, does he have... No, the top card was not the Terminus.
Yep.
He doesn't get to see it when he surgicals.
Yeah. So we'll get to find out what it is. It looks like this is on the stack.
Yeah, so right now, the stack is... Yes.
So Snapcaster's resolved. It's targeting Swords of Plowshares. That hasn't resolved yet, obviously. So now that's going to go away. And what this is going to allow Chen to do is take out the swords from his deck, but for Lossett, he gets to actually shuffle his deck, and he still has the mana to spin the top. So Lossett won the Supreme Verdict.
No, I think this is really insightful of Lossett to make this play here. Normally, Supreme Verdict's not good on this board, especially when you consider the fact that Lossett's going to have a Snapcaster Mage on it. But what he's doing here is that he knows his Swords to Plowshares are going to be extracted. So once you're out of Swords to Plowshares, it does mean that creatures become slightly problematic. And so he's preemptively getting the card that would answer like a second or a third creature, a Tarmogoyf from Chen, by drawing that Supreme Verdict.
Yep. And the other thing I like, too, is that, he had 2 tops in place, so he says, okay, I can let one of those go, and I have mana to activate my other top to get my draw set up again here. So this is really nice mana management while still having an answer to a problem in hand. He says, okay, Snapcaster's good. There is no swords for you to bring back. Okay. Delver's good. Spin my top.
Yeah, remember, he was floating a Terminus last time. He does not have one at the moment. It looks like he has a Caracas in the top 3, along with at least one spell.
Yeah, it looks like Vendilion is in there, too, potentially.
Vendilion seems pretty strong right now. I wouldn't be surprised to see him keep that. At the same time, he doesn't want to have too many lands floating in the top 3. I imagine once he stops seeing quality cards, he's going to try to get a fetch land to reset it.
Yeah. 1 second to draw a card. I think he's going to pick up that Caracas. Says Supreme Verdict's in my hand.
Yep, no big. Just keep making lands.
Yeah.
The board is still not threatening. Right now, Lossett actually has the bigger creature on the board. When the Delver flips, he'll be slightly behind in the race.
Yeah, but not so much that it matters, I don't think.
Also, he's setting up the combo of Vendilion Click plus Caracas right now. Remember, Vendilion Click is legendary, so that 1-2 punch can be pretty powerful against a deck like Delver.
Lossett could have attacked there and decided not to. There's a Wasteland to take care of the Caracas.
All right, well, no Vendilion Click fun this time. I'm wondering, he could draw the Vendilion Click off the top, cast Vendilion Click, Caracas the Vendilion Click, then let the Wasteland resolve.
Look at us. We were having a ball. Draw a card.
That's what he's going to do.
Yeah. Draw a card with top, cast this Vendilion Click.
Let's gain a little bit of information, right?
I mean, it might go towards Chen. It might go towards Lossett. We don't know. He says, all right, let's set it this way. Lands. Good to know.
Beautiful. Yeah. Now, Lossett couldn't be happier.
No guarantee. There's no guarantee here that he even Caracas is back. He might just want this in play and give some beatdowns.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They're like, wow, well, so, I would look at this board, I'd say, so what you're saying is I have 5 power to your 1 power?
Yep.
And I'm going to draw a Divining Top next turn?
Yep.
Excellent. Now, this Supreme Verdict's looking less good right now, but you're ahead, so...
Yeah, if things get bad and you're behind, you can just reset. If a Tarmogoyf comes rolling off the top or something like that, all right, well, we can fix this problem.
It was there in case of emergencies anyway, just the emergency didn't happen.
Yeah, spin that top. Flooded Strand, looks like there's a Jace and another copy of Supreme Verdict, so that's where he got started.
Like pretty quickly, the Jace is put to the top here.
Yeah, there's an attack here for 5. Unless that'll pass the turn back with just a Supreme Verdict in hand. How do we like the top card? We don't like it at all.
Well, it wasn't something we flipped to the Delver of Secrets.
And so what that means, basically, unless this is, some sort of mega play, that means that Delver is good, or excuse me, that Jace is probably good to go, but now here's Liliana. Now, how do you want to use this? Are we going up or down? If you go down, you get to take care of a creature, but then Liliana's going to die.
Well, the thing about Bug Delver is right now, Joe Lossett is actually ahead on creatures on the board. That's great, but the Miracles deck isn't going to work very hard to defend board advantage. That's not really its plan. However, Bug Delver doesn't have any sweepers, so actually taking care of both these creatures can be pretty difficult for Chen. So he's going to have to do things like -2 Liliana to kill Snapcaster Range to try to get the board under control.
Lossett's going to spin his top really quickly here. You see Flooded Strand among the cards that he can draw. And so what I wouldn't be surprised to see now, again, because he knows that there's no counterspell in Chen's hand, is that he draws a land, uses the top, draws the Jace, casts the Jace, do whatever he wants to do with it.
Yeah, he knows there's no counterspell in Chen's hand, which that probably means he makes the play you're talking about. He does lose the Divining Top if he goes for that play.
I think when you have a Jace and you're killing Liliana, I think you
Yeah.
might be okay with this exchange. Now,
Jace-
there's also the chance here where he just plays a Flooded Strand and just says, go ahead.
Both are pretty good.
Yeah.
Empty board Jace, that's for sure to resolve. Pretty hard to beat.
See, it's funny because like I'm so aggressive that like I would
Just
just
tap out for Jace. Do
yeah,
it.
it's like I would draw a card, put the Jace into play, like lose my top, and then like my Jace gets dealt with, and I don't have a top, and it's like what was I doing?
You could have a top and a Jace.
I could.
I think Lossett likes that thought as well.
Yeah, there's a ponder. It's just because like I know the window's open, and so I want to take the opportunity because the window's open to actually get the Jace, but it doesn't even mean that it's correct.
Even if he counters the Jace, like, we have a top, we have a V-click, life's fine.
And spin the top. There's the Jace. There's the Verdict. Mystery card looks like a Plains.
Yeah, I think we're getting to the point where we're going to be happy to draw the Jace and crack that fetch land. The top 3 cards are getting pretty stale.
Yeah.
That happens if you Divining Top every turn. You'll notice that eventually the top 3 cards of your deck get really bad.
Well, thank goodness for fetch lands.
Yep.
Fix that problem.
Yeah.
And get a land out of your deck.
Yeah.
Oh, the value. See a ponder here from Chen. See, looks like he's gonna keep it on top. All right. I wonder what card he found.
Oh.
It's an attack for 3. That's a good place to start. Gonna put Lossett down to 15.
How about a second Liliana? That'd be pretty good.
Yeah, that'd be really good actually.
He only plays, he only plays 1 Liliana, so
Wow,
that would be
okay.
bad because he plays the second one on the board. Okay, no, the second one on the board.
Okay.
He could do it. Really, True Name Nemesis would be pretty good here, except he knows about a Supreme
knows about
Verdict. It says
Verdict,
Supreme
yeah.
Verdict in Lossett's hand. Lossett's got him covered on a lot of fronts.
And he's even floating a Verdict there on the top spins and the top 3 cards. So, as you mentioned, he does have him covered on a lot of fronts, and he actually gets the opportunity to be super proactive now. At the same time, though, I wouldn't be surprised now, as Joe's going to spin the top, he might not have any interest in even trying to resolve Jace now. I mean, he's still ahead on board, and as far as the damage race is concerned, and he doesn't really have to do anything. And he actually drew Island this turn instead of Jace.
This just goes real counter. You're just like, what? He's not playing anything.
Yeah, and I just put the brakes on the Vanillion Click.
Yeah. Let's just trade.
Yep.
Well, no need to rush.
My goodness, the patience. I could never.
Like I said, I have great respect for Miracles. It's not a combo deck, but I can respect their style.
I have great respect for his ability to play this deck so patiently, like through every avenue. Right now, Jeffery Chen's life total would be at 9 if that was me playing this match. He would be at 9. And my Vanillion Click would be tapped, and I may or not have a Jace that's in play that could die. And
Yeah.
I'm sure that Joe's line of play is much stronger than mine in this situation.
Well, it's just, yeah, if you need Jace, Jace will happen when you need it.
I want it now.
Yeah, but it's delayed gratification, man.
I want my
The best,
brainstorm
remember,
now.
the best, this is true of Jace and cards like Sphinx's Revelation. Remember, the best Jace game is the one where you have Jace in your hand the entire game and you never cast it because you didn't need to. You just got to sit there all the time looking at it in your hand and being like, man, I'm just stress-free.
Vanillion Click going to trade with the Insectile Aberration here. Deathrite Charm going to come down after combat. Lissette's going to spin the top. Take a look at a Jace of Verdict. And it looks like maybe another Verdict. Not entirely sure.
I mean, yeah, does he have 3 verdicts?
Take a look
I
here.
don't
I think
think
maybe
we-
only two. So a different card.
No need to draw Jace yet.
Yeah.
Maybe it's time. I think he's decided it's time.
Yeah.
It's time to draw Jace. Maybe not cast it, though.
Well, let's take a draw.
All right.
How about a Planeswalker?
Guy's good here, right?
Yeah, that's good. That's in there.
Now there's no creatures on the board. We have to reassert. He has to reassert board dominance. So let's make sure that happens. Jace now in play, 3 counters.
Well, that's one heck of a way to do it. Is it going to be time to brainstorm along with the fetch land in play? Do we Fate Seal? Do we unsummon Deathrite? Probably not.
I mean, brainstorming good. it's not ideal, mainly because the Supreme Verdict's really good in his hand.
Mm-hmm.
So he's going to go ahead. I think he's digging for something something specific. He's going to fetch before brainstorming, so that he gets he knows the top 2, so he gets a fresh 3 new cards to see instead of 1.
He has the option here between Tundra or Basic Plains. It looks like he's going to go with Basic Plains, so he's always able to cast Supreme Verdict.
Yeah, Verdict, Entreat the Angels, possibly. I think from Lossett, it's about time to find Entreat the Angels. You know, you don't have to rush it, but I think you're okay casting it now.
I mean, yeah, that's the card that closes the door, right?
Yep. But you know, if he doesn't find it, you can make the Jace win the game.
Quick update for you guys. Austin Palmer, blue at red Delver. We're going to have him here on the bottom side of the bracket. Does defeat Joey Lively playing Burn. So Austin Palmer, Eddie Solis, get ready for your semifinal match.
And with that defeat, Joe Lossett now remains as the only undefeated player left in the tournament. We did have Burn was also undefeated going into this round. Joey Lively was, but he was taken down in the top 8.
You see Lossett here. Has not played land yet this turn. He, of course, found the Plains off of a Flooded Strand and then plays the Scalding Tarn as his land for the turn. So just making sure everything is kosher, and it is, before passing the turn back to Chen, who has missed some land drops, but also he's done some wastelanding too, so that's why the lands look a little bit off. You see the life totals here, 12 to 14. This is Thoughtseize.
Can't red blast that.
No.
All right. I like the active pause. Well, yeah. Chucks it in.
That's gone.
That works.
Deathrite, how you feeling? Are you attacking or are you on life loss mode?
I mean, 14's a really big number to go with life loss mode. I would imagine that Jeffery, he's got to deal with that Jace. You know, Jace plus top plus a lot of lands is going to seal a game away if you let it happen long enough.
Yeah, it takes a couple turns, but it will seal a game away. I agree with you there.
You know, it's very rare that your opponent can brainstorm 3 times with Jace and lose a game.
See a Venser, a Supreme Verdict, and a Flooded Strand. Set happy with his configuration. Gonna untap. Will take a draw.
Yeah, and here there are 2 cards in Chen's hand that Lossett needs to be aware of.
Might be time to go Fate Sealing.
Yeah, he's going to go Fate Sealing. Chen has to prove that Lossett has something to be worried about.
Yeah. And Joe, actually, when we watch him play Miracles, he's pretty aggressive with his Fate Sealing, which I find to be pretty interesting. You know, it really varies from player to player on how they go about using their Jace. I think that's one of my favorite things about Jace. If you ever watch Shaheen Sharani play Jace in Legacy, it has one mode.
Just brainstorm. Brainstorm.
It's never done anything else. It will never do anything else. It just brainstorms.
Yeah, whereas Lossett, we've seen, I would say, more of the other 2 abilities than we've even seen brainstorms over the course of this tournament.
Yep.
That goes to show the power of the card. You know, there might be a correct choice in the 3 of them in a given situation, but even if you end up choosing the wrong ability, like, it's still pretty good.
That is true. It's still pretty gosh darn good. So
not that I claim to know which one the wrong ability is.
I'm not sure which one it is either. I mean, it seems like most of the time it might be on summon, but who knows? I mean, the card is completely insane. Even though True Nemesis has kind of put it in check a little bit, not enough.
Yeah, well, what happened? We put it in check until people started playing removal spells that dealt with True Name Nemesis, and then, well, Jace is going to go ahead and draw those spells.
Let's see a spinning at the top here by Lossett.
Yep. Second creature on the board for Chen was Deathrite Shaman. Means that Lossett's going to go ahead and shuffle that Supreme Verdict up to the top. He's going to divine it there.
I think he's got some sincere interest. As you see the other cards there, Flooded Strand and Sincere Divining top. I think he's got some interest in casting a Verdict here. You know, he doesn't have to, but I think this second Deathrite Shaman provides enough pressure. He's actually going to, he's going to draw a card here. 2, 3, 4. Oh boy, look at the value.
Oh, wow. So much value with Venser. All right, so I like this. He's cantripping Venser. So he taps to draw a card and put top on top of his deck. But in response, he's going to bounce his top. So now he just draws a card off the Venser.
Ladies and gentlemen, the value by Joe Lossett.
Big fan.
Nice.
My favorite part is that he's going probably still going to Supreme Verdict to the board. Yeah, so he's actually just playing a format.
No, he's going to bounce his Venser. Yes.
Oh, he's going to unsummon Venser.
Yes.
Oh, this is so much value. This is so much. Wait, is this even? Hold on. Jace could have brainstormed this turn.
No. I like this.
Wait. So that whole shenanigan of top Venser, bounce Venser, unsummon Venser with Jace, the net result was draw 1 extra card, right?
I like this.
No. You know where I'm going with this, right?
Yeah.
So You know, there's another way to draw an extra card, and that's just use the 0 on Jace.
No. That's too easy. Here's
It's not even just one card. You get to choose the card. It's a better card.
That's too easy, and that's too good. He got to unsummon his own creature and draw.
I mean, that is style points right there. Like, I did not see that line.
So the best part is that there's probably a reason for that, and I think it's probably just to clear like the cards off the top of his library. As here's a Tarmogoyf that I'm just like not thinking of. That's all. Because like now he's probably looking at 3 fresh cards,
Well,
or at least 2. Like the top of his library now is Flooded Strand and then 2 new cards. And if he doesn't top in his upkeep,
he has a fetch land.
but he doesn't want to sacrifice.
Okay, so he doesn't want to
to.
use the fetch land.
Yeah, I mean, why use the fetch land if you don't have to? If you have a different way to clear the top,
No, you're still as many cards deep. Brainstorm still digs you just as deep.
but you have to put 2 cards back.
Yeah, but you got to see 2 extra cards. So it's still the same.
Doesn't feel the same.
I mean, this is cooler. I like it. It's cool. It was really, it had style. I don't.
I loved it.
All right.
I think it's one of the best things I've ever seen. Supreme Verdict is the draw here.
I know there's a reason. There's got to be a reason
There's
for it,
definitely
though.
a reason that he did that. Looks like he's gonna unsummon. Is he gonna unsummon or Fate Seal? He's gonna Fate Seal. Take a look, Ski Poo. Gonna leave that card on top. Gonna cash in a Verdict here. Trade 1 for 1 with the Tarmogoyf. The top card of Chen's deck has to be pretty bad because Lossett left it on top. Pass the turn back.
Yeah. And now, still, the board is clear again. It's a clear board with top, but Joe has Jace. That should be enough to choke out the game.
Matthias, it's 10-10. The game's tied.
All right. You know, I've told you about this. When I first introduced my parents to Magic, they had no clue what how the game works. But, you know, my dad and I had watched sports together. So he would say, like, he kept referring to life totals as the scoreboard.
Okay.
And I'd be like, you know, he's like, well, I don't really understand this game. He's like, scoreboard doesn't really seem to matter sometimes. It's like, especially, you know, I play Comedy. He's like, you know, you're always losing on the scoreboard, but they're talking like you're winning.
Yeah, especially when you're playing combo, you're sitting at 1
Right.
and then you kill your opponent.
Like right now, you'd be like, yeah, score's tied. It's 10-10.
Yeah, it's anybody's game.
What do you mean? What do you mean Lossett has this? It doesn't look like it.
I'd say he's pretty far ahead if we ignore life totals here.
Yeah. I'm tied on the scoreboard.
With any luck, too, we could see the Venser play again. So there's a top and a Venser and Jace. That would be exquisite. He's going to sacrifice Scalding Tarn here. So now he's going to clear his top. Take a look, find a land. We'll see if it's going to be Volcanic or Basic Island.
Looks like a little dexterity error, but he managed to fix it without seeing any extra cards.
Yeah, we'll see what's going to happen here. Is there like a Stifle here that we don't know about that's coming?
No, I think he's just maybe he accidentally flipped a card on the shuffle or something. Or he wants to respond.
Yeah, I'm not too sure. We'll see.
Yeah, just resolving that right now.
Yeah. Yeah, so you'll see here. Pan out to the faces, I think. It looks like we're trying to get the stack all in order of what's exactly taking place here.
Makes sense.
Yep. And you see both players explaining their intentions and all that stuff. Obviously nothing malicious here, but there's a lot of uses of the stack here in Legacy, so. Okay, so yeah, they're going to set these cards and shuffle here. Okay. Looks like he's setting those 3 cards aside because of Sensei's Divining Top.
All right. That's going to be the resolution here.
What's going on so I can tell people. So now V-Click looks like it's going to come in. Okay, and that's what's happening. So Abrupt Decay in response to the fetch land, so that he would have to actually lose the top.
Yeah, if he draws a card with the top in response to Abrupt Decay, then if he wants the land, he's going to have to shuffle the top away.
Okay, so now he gets a draw card. Then this goes here. Now you resolve the fetch land, so that's all the confusion
Top's gone.
was. Yep.
Joe has another one in his
it's-
hand.
It's all good. It gets a basic
And
mountain.
Jace.
Now Joe's losing because he's a 9.
Yeah. Yep, he's behind. It's okay. I mean, 10-9, if you watch basketball, like that's a close game. That's fine.
True. Close game in any sport, really. Here's a red blast with that on the stack. So get that weak stuff out of here, says Joe as he searches for a mountain.
It's like the only score in boxing every round.
It depends how fixed the fight is. There's a Liliana.
This is a Wonder Woman Liliana with an artist altar on it. Liliana, one of the best weapons Bug Delver has in this matchup. Probably too little too late right now, as, well, we do know about that Venser that's in Lossette's hand.
Yeah, and now it's funny because so he Vencers with the discard on the stack so that when the discard resolves, there's a
Oh, that's
Liliana in
gross.
Chen's hand.
That's gross.
Yeah, and so Lossett ends up just discarding
Liliana
a Flood Strand.
She kills herself?
Yep.
That's cool.
Yep.
That's really neat, actually. I like that interaction.
So you like that Vencer interaction?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that was cool. Good use of stack mechanics.
Now here's a Brainstorm. Hit 1, a 2, a 3.
All right. Jace up to 10. Remember, at 12 is when Jace can ultimate. Right now, Jeffrey Chen with no hand, which means once that Jace ultimates, it'll be no library.
So now Brainstorm's good to go. Both players just seems to be some confusion just on what's taking place on the stack. Looks like both players need to communicate a little bit better moving forward.
Yeah.
Looks like Joe's actions are always incredibly clear on what he's doing at all times, so the confusion is really surprising that they would ever take place.
Yeah. He found a Caracas, which that's fun with Venser. And I mean, Lossette's winning on so many fronts, right? He's a turn from ultimating Jace. He, with the Vendilion Click in hand, is 2 turns from killing with damage. With Caracas plus Venser plus Jace, he could actually make Chen pick up all his lands. There's a lot of different ways he could win this game.
I'm inclined to agree with you. So Brainstorm is going to resolve. Lossett does put 2 cards back. I think he's got a Vendilion in his hand. Yeah, he's going to cast that right now. I think the reason, he's going to put the Brainstorm on the bottom of his deck. He's going to draw a card. I believe it's the Caracas. It's actually Sensei's Divine top. Okay.
Yep, so he refound the top.
Yeah, just clearing some stuff out of the way.
And passes the turn.
See if Chen found anything. He does not, so now it's time to spin the top. Shields are down.
And
right
there's the Caracas.
Yep. He puts that one, looks like, on top. And now, as you mentioned, he's killing him from a lot of different angles. There's Caracas to protect the creatures. This is going to be a Jace Fate Seal. And momentarily here, as Lossett leaves that on top, he's going to attack here for 5, put Chen down to 3, and I think we're going to see one more draw step.
Yeah, Lossett gets to pick his method of winning here, though it's likely going to be a concession on the side of Chen.
Yeah. This is a total annihilation by the Miracle deck, because here's a Delver of Secrets. And all Chen can do is pass the turn back here. Lossett could have just bounced his Vencer and bounced that, but instead he says, how about this attack? I think we have to play one. Yeah, he's just going to save the game. So Joe Lossett is going to win this match over Jeffrey Chen. He is moving on to our semifinals to play against Colin Chilbert playing High Tide. Congratulations to the number 8 player on our Open Series leaderboard here in Season 2, Joe Lossett, also coming off an Invitational top 8 when we were in Charlotte just a couple weeks ago. He has been dominating with